right?
So my question is,
yeah,
if we have to go through so much adversity
yeah.
in this life, right? Why does the world embody so much beauty? Like, why, if you think about it, we could spend an entire life filled with just pleasure and traveling and seeing different parts of the world and
Yeah.
even the materialism that's supposed to be something that's of a young soul. But if you think about it, that little pleasure you get in buying something, it's still a pleasure.
Sure.
So if we filled our lives with just pleasures, then where's the adversity?
Well, if we fill our life with just pleasure, some
Yeah,
of the
like the world has so much pleasure,
so
so
much
much beauty.
potential for pleasure, and well, they're different things. There is beauty, and then there's pleasure.
Pleasure is a form of beauty, no?
No, they're separate. Like I can look at a flower and say that's so beautiful, and I can say, well, I'm enjoying it so much that I'm having pleasure, but that's a bit of a stretch. I think what you're referring to is more in the human experience, the pleasures.
Well, nature, travel,
Yeah, amazing.
social interactions,
Yeah,
art, culture, history, all of
yeah.
this. If we're supposed to go through, if this is supposed to be a dense
Which it is. A challenging, dense realm.
realm,
Right?
why is there so much beauty?
Well, so that's exactly why there's so much beauty, is because it's such a difficult, dense realm. And you can read about it. A few different sources will talk about how souls that come to the earthly realm, the souls that actually wind up here, they know that they're in for a struggle. And the ones that have come in for multiple incarnations, they know very well how heavy and challenging the earthly realm can be. And they come in with different degrees of challenges and struggles, right? So some of them have been here before, they have specific karmic intentions, things that they want to work through. Some of those things can be very difficult. It may make them susceptible to drug addiction, or to financial ruin, or to terrible conflict and adversity in their relationships, or to low self-esteem issues and depressive tendencies. 1,000,001 challenges can be known in advance of an incarnation. And instead of just being stuck in the heaviness of the physical realm, Earth is unusually beautiful to try to offer a ton of offsets and tools by which we can start to gain perspective and work our way through some of that difficult struggle. Right? So think about somebody who's in a deep, deep depression and they can't see a way out of it. And they're stuck in their apartment all day long and they're full of misery and hate. And somebody comes and encourages them out of their home and takes them down to the park and just quietly sits there, and all they can hear are the birds chirping. And they're surrounded by the beautiful flowers, and they can smell the fragrance in the air. It may be just enough, if only for a brief moment, to offer a little bit of perspective for them to say, I'll get through this.
You'll get through this world, this reincarnation.
This moment, this depression, this difficult point. Maybe they don't believe in reincarnation. Maybe they don't believe in anything beyond the physical realm. Maybe they think it's so miserable that they're contemplating suicide. But the earthly realm, when you are just connected to the earthly experience for its purity and its beauty, right? Which is why it's such a sad thought to think that we'd be destroying this amazing planet, because the earth is unbelievably beautiful. But at its essence, right, it's a perfect space to experience the duality of this human experience, which is, on the one hand, you can have severe heaviness and difficulty and sadness, and on the other hand, you can see incredible opportunities for growth and awakening and lightness, right, and spirituality and love. And so it's kind of that old metaphorical representation of the angel and the devil, where we have, at all points in our life, we can gravitate to a low vibrational state of sadness and anger and remorse and contempt and all sorts of materialism and abject, egotic, selfish motivations, right? Which is the heaviness of the human experience. And that negative or difficult low vibrational state perpetuates itself down. Or we can do exactly the opposite. And we can start to connect with the beauty that's all around us, whether it's emotional beauty or physical beauty, the love that we receive, the love that we can give, start to divest of more of the egotic tendencies and go into a state of service and gratitude or even devotion to help raise other people into a beautiful space, and we can allow that to carry us to a higher plane.
But then if we go through this high vibration
Yeah.
of where we just feel the beauty,
Yeah.
right? And we're more connected to our spirituality, so we end up being older souls in a way.
We're growing through our journey. Sure.
Right. Where's the adversity?
Well, it's all there. You don't stop. So simply because you're on a spiritual path, or simply because you've gone through a rare spiritual awakening, or simply because you're living a pure, beautiful, connected life, let's say you have a great job, let's say you have a beautiful family, let's say you have your health, it doesn't mean that life just goes static. You never get to a final resting place where you wake up one day, you're like, oh great, I'm here. I don't have to worry about anything ever again. Wherever it is that you arrive, it's only ever for a brief moment, and then it's going to continue to something else. And inevitably, the human experience is one that lets you dig deeper and always find new opportunities for growth and evolution. And if you're on a low vibrational state, it's offering new opportunities for conflict, negativity, challenge, hatred, right? Like a racist will never quite lose his tendencies towards racism until he's overcome it, because even if he is convinced somehow that the group that he was discriminated against isn't a bad group, he would just simply go and manifest the same racist tendencies against a different group, right? Because there's something more fundamentally insecure with self that has him objectifying and criticizing another.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of this physical experience, really simply put, is that there's always somewhere else that you can go. And if you ever reach that point where you're convinced, like absolutely convinced, that everything is wonderful, it simply means that you have to move to a state of generosity. That it's time to elevate your being and recognize your good fortune and all these incredible gifts that your soul chose as part of this incarnation, likely later in its journeys, to say, I got an amazing, fortuitous hand dealt to me. I'm in a bizarrely grateful position right now, and I can start to give back. And however that looks, you can do it in a simple way where you're writing a check and sending it into a charity, or you can do it in a much deeper way where you're actively engaged in the interaction of helping others that are less fortunate. Maybe raise the consciousness or take care of their physical or emotional needs. It's an amazing opportunity that people have depending on where they are in their incarnations. And as soon as they break from low vibrational, tantalizing, oftentimes simplistic callings, right, which are fine as long as you can recognize them for what they are and elevate to a higher state of consciousness, and then actively break from the illusion, which is the materialistic plane, the most amazing things start to happen. You start to get into alignment with your soul's intention. You start to vibrate at a higher frequency. You start to attract other beautiful people that are likewise vibrating at that frequency. You start to let the everyday things that used to bother you for so long, like water off a duck's back, no longer affect you. And it all starts to come together. Like those moments which we don't realize are possible when we're stuck in the mud, feel like we're fighting through the trenches every day, just trying to survive one day to the next, because we don't have a proper offset to see a bigger picture. But when you finally do break out of it and you can see why you're really here and the beauty that's all around you and how special this incarnation is, it changes everything.